You know what keeps me up at night? Every single app on your phone is potentially leaking your personal data right now through unsecured APIs, and most companies don't even realize it's happening.
That's such a concerning thought. Just last week, I was reading an online article about a major bank that exposed millions of customer records through a single API vulnerability. What exactly makes these digital doorways so dangerous?
Well, imagine every API as a waiter in a massive digital restaurant. They're constantly carrying sensitive information back and forth between different applications. Your banking details, medical records, private messages, everything. And just like a real restaurant, if one waiter makes a mistake, your credit or debit card could end up at the wrong table.
Hmm, that's actually a really helpful way to think about it. And I'm guessing these digital waiters are handling way more tables than any human could manage?
Oh my goodness, yes. We're talking about billions of requests every single day. And here's what's truly scary. According to recent security reports, over 90% of organizations experienced an API security incident in the past year. While this seems like a cliche, the statement, "It's not a question of if, but when," is actually true.
I agreed. Well, listeners, welcome to Technically You, the podcast where we untangle the web of technology and cybersecurity so it all finally makes sense. Today, we're talking about something that's everywhere but rarely noticed: API security.
APIs, or application programming interfaces, are like the invisible glue that holds our digital world together. Every time you check your bank balance, order from a food delivery app, or even connect your smartwatch to your phone, there's an API making that possible.
And that makes them prime targets for attackers. In fact, Gartner predicts that by 2026, API attacks will be the most frequent attack vector, overtaking phishing and web application attacks.
Let's break down what is an API, and let's continue on the restaurant example we used to begin this topic. So, you're at a restaurant. You, the customer, don't go into the kitchen to cook. Instead, you place your order with a waiter. That waiter takes your request to the kitchen and then brings your meal back. That's what an API does. It's the middleman between your request and the system's response.
Exactly. Without APIs, apps would have to be hardwired into each other, which would be messy and inefficient. APIs standardize communication, whether it's between two apps, cloud services, IoT devices, or even machine-to-machine in industrial systems.
But here's the flip side. If that waiter doesn't verify who you are, or brings you food you didn't order, things can go wrong fast. That's why API security is critical.
Now, APIs aren't just convenient, they're powerful gateways. And if those gateways are left open or poorly guarded, attackers can exploit them to steal data, run malicious code, or disrupt services.
Think about the 2018 Facebook breach. Attackers exploited an API bug that exposed access tokens, allowing them to hijack user accounts. Or the 2019 Capital One hack, where misconfigured AWS APIs let attackers access over 100 million credit applications.
APIs handle sensitive personal data, financial transactions, healthcare records, you name it. So securing them isn't just about protecting code, it's about protecting people.
Let's go deeper into the major threats, starting with broken object level authorization, BOLA, probably the most common risk. Imagine an e-commerce API where you request your order history. If the system doesn't verify your identity properly, you could change the order ID and pull up someone else's order history. That's BOLA. Broken authentication, weak tokens, or poor session handling. Attackers can impersonate users, hijack sessions, or bypass authentication altogether. Excessive data exposure. Sometimes APIs return too much data, like a mobile app API sending back full user profiles when it only needs usernames. Hackers just filter through the extra info. Lack of rate limiting. APIs without throttling are vulnerable to brute force attacks, like guessing passwords or sending millions of requests until the system collapses. Injection attacks. SQL or NoSQL injections via API parameters. For example, sending malicious code inside an API call that tricks the backend into executing it. And finally, there are security misconfigurations, using default keys, exposing error messages, or leaving unused APIs accessible. Shadow APIs, those forgotten or undocumented endpoints, are especially dangerous.
The Open Worldwide Applications Security Project, or OWASP API Top 10, is basically the Bible for these risks. If businesses aren't familiar with it, they're already behind.
Let's move into the defense side. How do organizations secure APIs?
Strong authentication and authorization. Use OAuth 2.0, OpenID Connect, and JWT tokens. No more basic auth or hard-coded credentials. And input validation. Never trust user input. Validate everything, sanitize parameters, and use whitelisting instead of blacklisting.
Encryption is non-negotiable. Always use TLS for transport security. That means HTTPS everywhere, no exceptions. Then add rate limiting and throttling. For example, allow a maximum of 100 requests per minute per user. That way, if an attacker tries to brute force, they hit a wall.
Another big one is API gateways. These act as central control points, handling authentication, logging, and traffic monitoring. Pair them with a web application firewall, and you've got a strong frontline defense. Don't forget monitoring and logging. APIs should be instrumented to detect anomalies. If someone's making thousands of requests from a new country at 3 a.m., that's a red flag.
And one more, shift left security. Integrate security testing into development pipelines, so vulnerabilities are caught early, not in production.
Let's talk use cases. In finance, APIs power digital banking, fintech apps, and payment processing. Imagine what happens if APIs in that space aren't secured. Instant disaster.
In healthcare, APIs connect EHR systems, wearables, and telemedicine platforms. HIPAA requires strict data protection, so unsecured APIs can mean massive fines and loss of trust. The future is heading toward zero-trust APIs. Every request must be verified no matter where it originates. Internal traffic isn't trusted any more than external.
AI and ML are also entering the picture, analyzing API traffic in real time to detect anomalies that humans might miss. And automated API discovery tools will be critical. Many organizations don't even know all the APIs they have. Shadow APIs are like leaving back doors wide open.
And as regulations tighten, GDPR, HIPAA, PCI DSS, we'll see stricter compliance requirements specifically around APIs. Businesses will need proof that their APIs are secured end-to-end. So what's the takeaway? APIs are essential, but without proper security, they're one of the biggest risks in modern IT.
Businesses must prioritize API security, not as an afterthought, but as a core part of their cybersecurity strategy.
APIs are like digital doors, and just like you wouldn't leave your house unlocked, you shouldn't leave your APIs unprotected.
Well said. Thanks for tuning in to Technically You. If you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe, share, and leave us a review. And remember, stay curious, stay informed, and stay secure.